You've reached Sam. Look how pretty. I thought I'd read it and review it for Valentine's Day that is coming up. Although the love interest dies. And that's not a spoiler because that's literally how this book is marketed. The boy dies and she is in the process, the main protagonist is in the process of mourning his death. As she's mourning his death, rejecting his death, and in like a stage of anger and denial, and then she gets a call from Sam, the dead boy. Just in case I didn't explain everything well, I'll just like read a little bit of the synopsis so you guys were on the same page. A heartfelt novel about love and loss and what it means to say goodbye. 17-year-old Julie Clark has her future all planned out. Move out of her small town with her boyfriend, Sam. Attend college in the city, spend a summer in Japan. But then Sam dies. See? It wasn't a spoiler. Heartbroken, Julie skips his funeral, throws out his belongings, and tries everything to forget him. But a message Sam left behind in her yearbook forces memories to return. Desperate to hear from him one more time, Julie calls Sam's cell phone just to listen to his voicemail record, and Sam picks up the phone. The connection is temporary, but hearing Sam's voice makes Julie fall for him all over again, and with each call, it becomes harder to let him go. Pros! A few things that the author, I personally think, that did well was start off in a position where we actually care for Sam. Because when I went in to this book, I was really confused on how am I going to care about a dead guy? Because usually when you go into books, you fall in love with the characters first and then they die, but he started off dead. Essentially, flashbacks are used as a tool to really get the essence of Sam and the relationship as a whole. So you get to care for Julie and Sam as a couple and what it means for her to have lost him. And I think that was really important for the author to establish really early on, so we actually gave a shit. Another thing that was really cool was how Julie was really realistic. I felt like, well, technically all the characters in this book were really realistic, but I really liked Julie because she was annoying. I saw a lot of book reviews saying how Julie was unbearable, like I don't care if you're mourning, like she's such a dick. Honestly, I liked her because yes, she was a dick, and yes, there were moments where she was in denial and she wasn't being the best girlfriend or partner to Sam even though he was dead. For example, in the synopsis you see that she doesn't go to his funeral. Like that from the get-go, it establishes a place and mindset where the character of Julie is just in a really dark place and kind of rejects everything that is Sam. I don't really want to get into like spoilers, but as you go into the book, you start to see a lot of that evolve. And the fact that she's able to call him now just makes the whole process of mourning and accepting even harder. So having the situation at hand be that it's hard for her to mourn Sam because he's literally on the end of her fucking phone, it wasn't surprising to me that she was kind of a dickish character sometimes because that made her realistic. Another thing that the author did really well was establish side characters, because there was a lot more going on with the side characters than just helping Julie get to from point A to point B. They brought the joy in all the sadness. This is just kind of like a small thing. I really enjoyed Julie and her mother's relationship. I found it to be really healthy. So if you're looking for like parental figures that are actually present in YA, you'll like this book as well. I liked the author's writing style. Like he had his own voice. It was good. It was well written. But here are a couple of cons that I'm gonna go into. The one major con, when specifically just as like a nitpicky author, I guess, well, not author yet, a nitpicky writer that I personally was kind of thrown off by, was the use of dialogue tags throughout the book. The author did a great job at writing realistic characters, especially the main characters, but where it kind of went a little annoying a little bit was when dialogue tags were used like one after the other, like constantly. So instead of it being like, oh shit, your boyfriend died, being like, oh yeah, he died. Like, I don't know, some bullshit. It was like, hey, your boyfriend died, he said. Yeah, like, I don't know how to deal, she said. He said, she said, she cried, or she something, or she exhaled. Some of them I noticed repeated. I could be really into a passage, really be into the world and the scene, but the moment I found like a nitpicky dialogue tag, I was just thrown off and I realized I was reading. And I guess for me, that's a bad thing just because I do have distraction issues. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen here and there, so just be prepared for that, I guess. But it's a really good book. Another con, well, it's not a con for me, but assuming you're watching this, I want you to be prepared. If you're going into this book to find answers to why she receives a call from Sam and how it's possible, or if there's like some sort of religious undertone to it, or the supernatural stuff of it all, if you're gonna be picking up this book and buying it because you want the answers to all that, I would say that don't. This isn't a book about the supernatural. This isn't a book about finding the answers to why she's able to talk to her dead boyfriend. It's more about Julie, her character. It's really character driven. To have Julie as a character go from point A to point B, it really is just like a really human and grounding book, in the sense where you are put into the shoes of this woman figuring out life all over again. That would be a con for some, which is why I included it, even though it is one of the strengths of the book in my opinion, but to others it might not be. Minus the supernatural stuff, a personal con that I found to be a little bit irritating, but I guess I see the use for it. There are certain plot points like later on in the book, like maybe 2/3 of the book, that I personally didn't find necessary. If you're anything like me and you read it and you notice it too, great. We're on the same page with that. If not, then that's great as well, because you found everything to be good when it came to plot points. And yeah, I don't blame you one bit for reacting the way that you do. That's all. I think that's all I really gotta say. I started reading it to take me out of my slump. It really did take me out of my slump, because I ended up reading like 3 books in a month, which would usually be the amount of books I read in a year. If that's not your thing, if you're looking for something more supernatural, something with more answers, then maybe not. And if you're more into plot driven rather than character driven, then maybe not. If you're looking for something that is sad, bittersweet, I would suggest picking this up. And it's filled with a little bit of romance as well. Well, as far as, you know, a dead boyfriend can go, I would suggest that you pick it up.